Hello everyone and welcome once again to the Train Aid HQ. My name is Nick and in today's video we are looking at our CAVA qualification, so the level 3 certificate in assessing vocational achievements. And this video is just looking through the different stages when completing a CAVA assessment template. So we're going to be looking at vocational assessments. This is a completed example, and this should give you lots of ideas for when completing your own vocational assessment. So once again, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel to receive the latest alerts from the team. So in regards to this video, we are looking at one of our vocational assessments. This is vocational assessment number 4. And when completing your own vocational assessment template, please make sure that you put your candidate assessor details on the first page there, like I've done. So I'll put my name in and the course location, either classroom, webinar, or the online self-paced course. And please put your start date on there, and also the learner as well. So just remember, the learner can be a colleague, an ex-colleague. This is someone who is willing to be your learner for the actual assessment itself. And please make sure that they have some knowledge or understanding, experience of your assessment fields. So very important, just to put their full name, the assessment location, and also the assessment date in as well. As you can see, I have circled vocational number 4. So as we know, vocational assessments are assessments where you're assessing the knowledge of the candidate rather than their workplace skills. So just please bear that in mind when creating your own vocational assessments. Okay, so just to put this example into context, so Billy Wallace is one of my colleagues. He is a fully qualified first aid trainer, and this assessment is going to be a theory based test paper. So it's a knowledge based test paper, just looking at Billy's first aid knowledge skills. So he's a first aid trainer where he delivers a range of different first aid courses. So I'm going to devise a 10-question first aid test paper, and this is going to refresh his skills. So more on the assessment topic very shortly. So we have the initial assessment page. So once again, please write your learner's name just at the top. So we have obviously Billy Wallace there. We have a series of questions just to find out some more information about the person that you are assessing. So first of all, how experienced is the learner you will be assessing? So once again, this can be a current colleague, an ex-colleague, an apprentice, manager, friend, or family member, but they must have some knowledge or experience of your assessment field. So as you can see there, Billy is one of our qualified first aid trainers, teach a variety of first aid courses, and he will embark on a theory test paper during the Train Aid HQ training day. So it's very important that we keep our first aid trainers knowledge up to date. The second question is just describing the environment. So please do include the time, location, the venue, the conditions as well within that section. So this vocational assessment will take place within the Train Aid HQ, and this will very much be a written test within a training room with exam conditions. So it's going to be quite a controlled assessment here. Please do describe the qualification or the criteria that the learner will be assessed for. So the criteria that I'm going to be using is the emergency first aid at work theoretical knowledge test paper, which will cover first aid injuries, illnesses, and how to treat them, and the responsibilities of a first aider. I'm going to put together a first aid test using my first aid handbook here. So this is going to be really, really useful when I create my knowledge test paper. Just furthermore, are there any additional support needs? Any reasonable adjustments for Billy? No, there's no reasonable adjustments required. But remember, if your learner undertaking the assessment does require any extra time or any support, that's absolutely fine for them to have a reader, scribe, translator. So just make sure you do cater for them if support is required. We also need a learner declaration. So this is the learner who's undertaking the actual assessment. This is to say that they're happy that their assessment is going to be used as part of your CAVA portfolio. And we just require their name, a signature, and also a date as well. Okay, so that's just section 1 and section 2. Hopefully quite straightforward. Now we're moving on to section 3. This is the assessment plan. So as we know, we need to include the date, the time, and also the location as well. So as we can see, we have the date, the time is for 1 hour. This is the theory test paper, and also the location as well. So this test is going to take place within the Train Aid HQ in one of our training rooms. You also have to describe the planned activity, any pre-assessment targets as well. So the planned activity is obviously for first aid trainer Billy to complete an emergency first aid theoretical knowledge test paper. Billy will independently complete the EFAW theoretical test paper within the Train Aid HQ. I will provide Billy with 1 hour to complete the test paper, and Billy will undertake the test under exam conditions as well. And we have the pre-assessment targets here. Okay. So Billy has been asked to read and review the latest emergency first aid at work manual, okay, which is this. So obviously providing Billy with perhaps a handbook a week before is going to really prepare him for the theoretical test. I have created my test using this handbook, and hopefully the test will be very straightforward. So when it comes to your own assessment, then please do provide some pre-assessment targets for the learner. In regards to the tail end of section 3, we've highlighted what assessment method we're using, which is the knowledge test paper. Any special requirements required, that's not applicable. But obviously, if your learner undertaking the assessment does need any support, then please do make changes and provisions for them. That's absolutely fine. And we have the final sign-off section here. So we require a signature from both the learner undertaking the assessment and you, the candidate assessor, as well as the date there as well, to make sure that everyone's happy. Now, section 4 is the vocational assessment criteria or standards. So all this section is, it's including any type of standards or criteria that you're using for the assessment. Okay, so this is very much the standards that you're using to perhaps create your knowledge test or your multiple choice test. So as you can see here, this is the criteria from the emergency first aid at work handbook. So I've taken a page from this handbook, and all that's doing is demonstrating to us that you've taken obviously the test paper, the inputs. So these are the standards or criteria to be used. So maybe you could take maybe a page or 2 pages from perhaps a textbook or perhaps a website. It could be any photos, and it's just showing that you have you're using a particular resource to create your knowledge-based test. So that is just a page of information to show that this is where I have created my test from. The next section is section 5. This is the test paper. So please include a blank test paper and a scanned marked test paper with this assessment. Okay, so we have an emergency first aid theoretical assessment blank test paper, which I have created using my first aid manual, which has been really, really useful when creating the questions. So as we can see, I've put in the details of the assessment once again. But when we come to the test paper, I have chosen 10 questions, all to do with the responsibilities of a first aider. And as you can see, I've mapped the criteria to those standards. So this is just showing that the first aid assessment is relevant to my criteria as well. So these are 10 questions, which Billy will complete within 1 hour within our training room. And as you can see, there's a wide variety of different questions to do with first aid. So this is obviously a knowledge-based test. You can, of course, choose multiple choice when you're creating your own knowledge test. I've gone for 10 questions, and obviously we have the final score here and a section for assessor feedback. But you can, of course, choose any type of test, whether it's an open book test, closed questions, however you would like to create this as well. So that's my blank test paper. And then also we have the marked test paper as well. So as we can see here, we have a scanned copy of the actual test paper. So very important. As you can see, we have Billy's responses, and also we have my section here. This is providing feedback to Billy. So it's showing that I have marked each of the sections. Okay. So very important that we include a blank test paper and also the scanned completed test paper as well. We've also got the assessor sign off, which has been signed by myself as a candidate assessor, and also the learner as well. So Billy has signed that. So Billy got a score of 10 out of 10, which is fantastic. So he achieved the full criteria, which is fantastic to see there. Section 6 is photographic evidence. So we'd like for you to include somewhere between 4 to 6 photos from the assessment. But just a word of warning, you don't have to include the face of the learner if you're perhaps quite sensitive. You could take photos of the assessment environment. So if you are, assessing within perhaps a confidential environment, that's fair enough. You could take photos of perhaps the test paper, the environment, the conditions, the empty classroom, all of those things. So please use your judgment here when taking photos. But as you can see, I've taken 5 photos. We have a copy of the blank first aid test paper, the exam room, Billy undertaking the first aid test, and a few furthermore from different angles as well. And I have been able to sign and date the obviously the assessment paper here, and so has Billy, to make sure that he's happy with the photographic evidence. So we're looking to see once again somewhere between 4 to 6 photos of the test being undertaken there. Just moving on to the tail end of the assessment, we have section 7, which is the post-assessment feedback. So this is where you, as the assessor, you're providing feedback to the candidate. So step 1 is the learner assessment feedback. This is the person you are assessing. Ask the learner how they thought the assessment went. Did they have enough time for the assessment, and were they comfortable within the assessment? So this is you, the candidate assessor, really just gaining some feedback on how the assessment went for the learner. Okay, so in regards to Billy, he was saying that he was a little bit nervous at the start of the first aid knowledge test, but he felt reassured with my feedback during the briefing stage, as I discussed. with Billy the purpose and the conditions of the assessment. Billy was given enough time to complete the assessment. He had obviously lots of pre-reading material as well to reflect on the latest standards. So all in all, Billy felt quite comfortable within the assessment. So that's really good feedback. So of course, when you're undertaking the CAVA course, it's very important that you do take on board some feedback from the learner in regards to how they found the assessment. The next stage is step 2. This is the candidate feedback to the learner. So this is just explaining to the learner, you know, what were their strengths, what were their areas for development. Did the learner pass? Okay. If not, no problem. But when will a reassessment be arranged again? So obviously Billy achieved 10 out of 10 for the first aid test paper. Obviously he achieved the full marks, which is fantastic. And I've explained that as a newly qualified first aid trainer, you have a very good understanding of the different types of injuries, illnesses, and how to respond to these incidents as a first aider. So I'm giving him a pat on the back to say very well done. So when it comes to you creating your own test paper, you can obviously use your own standards, your own subject knowledge to provide feedback to your learner there. So this section is all about the results. So it's saying, you know, very well done, you passed, or if you haven't passed, okay, don't worry, we're going to book in a reassessment and I'll provide you some targets and some homework for the reassessment. The final section is the action plan and assessment sign off. So this section is where you're providing the learner with some future targets as well. So just make sure that you're providing some aspirational targets for the learner to take on board. This could be perhaps attending a future CPD course. It could be shadowing a trainer or an assessor. It could be reading the staff handbook or specification. So even though they may have achieved 10 out of 10 or 4 marks, that's absolutely fantastic, but you can give them some additional targets for their future practice as well. Okay, so as we can see here, I have given Billy some targets in regards to his CPR practical. I will be observing him for one of his future assessments as well. And I've given the details of the next assessment and time as well, so he can prepare for that upcoming assessment again. As we can see, we have asked Billy to sign the actual section 8, the action plan, and sign off as well. And I've signed it myself. And that is the full assessment, okay, for vocational assessment number 4. Okay. We hope that you found the assessment useful, okay, when creating this knowledge-based test. Once again, I've aimed for 10 questions, so please feel free to go for 10 questions or more than that if you wish. But once again, thank you for watching. We hope you found this useful. Please do like the video, subscribe to the channel to receive the latest alerts from the team. If you're obviously taking the CAVA course and if you need any support with your assessments and the planning of those, please do reach out to us and we can give you lots of help and support. Bye for now.